So I am going to be trying to make pot stickers for the first time. Because I can't find pot stickers because I'm in such a rural area, there's no Asian grocery near me. So we'll see how this goes. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to eyeball about 10 ounces of flour. And the recipe I'm using, I'll include a link in the video, but it's kind of a fill it out as you go, so I don't think getting the exact amount of flour is all that important. I have this extremely cool new measuring spoon set. Whoop. Teaspoon of flour, which I am going to mix in while this is dry. Oh, I've got the amazing spinning mess kit here. There we go. Who needs a stinking food processor? Got a magical spinning bowl. Oh god, I'm getting dizzy. Okay. There we go. The next step is to boil some water, which I am doing in my microwave convection oven. And I'm doing that because my RV is plugged into shore power right now. And that means that I have unlimited electricity through the mainstream on-the-grid electrical system. If I was boondocking, going without electrical hookups and just using my solar system, I would probably be using propane right now to boil the water to save electricity. I've put 4 ounces of this very, very hot water in my measuring cup. I'm going to chuck it in here all at once. I'm going to stir it and form it into a ball and add more water or flour to get the consistency the way I want it to be. So after thoroughly mixing it, the dough is still pretty crumbly, so I'm going to add just a little bit more water and see how that does. Here we go. I have the perfect, not too sticky, not too crumbly ball of dough. Now I'm going to work it for 2 minutes and then let it rest for 1 or 2 hours or more. There you go, honey. Enjoy your rest. Now it's time to clean the kitchen and start making the filling for the pot stickers. Now I'm going to try to make some dumpling filling, and I'm deviating from the recipe on the website by quite a bit because I just want to make my own thing. I could not find boneless, skinless chicken thighs, so I just got regular bone-in, be-skinned chicken thighs. I'm going to mince them up myself and remove the bones and the skin as best as I can using my only knife. So for those of you just tuning in, I came out to Arizona in just my Subaru to get my RV, and I haven't gotten back home yet, so I had only as much equipment as I could fit on the Subaru. So here we have my trusty pocket knife. No chef's knives, anything like that. Anyways, I have some fresh ginger, green onions, are a little rough looking. I'm gonna have to clean them up real good. And unfortunately, I cannot get shiitake mushrooms in town. What I really would like to do is do shiitake mushroom chicken dumplings, but I'm gonna have to use buttons instead, and they also need a little cleanup here. So let's get to work. And this is what I've created with the chicken. I've got 1 piece out of 4 done, and it's just very, very finely chopped, this size. I could have gotten a little finer, but I think it'll be okay. I think it'll have more tooth to it than if I could use a food processor, but I think it'll be pretty tasty. I'm going to keep going with this chicken and add in some of the other ingredients after I've got the chicken all processed. There's all the chicken that I processed and cut up. I did my best to remove the fatty parts, the skin, the silver skin I think it's called, all the little fibrous bits. And here is everything that was rejected. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to boil it in some water and make some tasty chicken stock and fatty bits probably to add to my dog's food for a few days. I might have some myself as well. I never waste anything, not even the bones. I'm gonna do up the mushrooms now. I'm gonna try to do about half of them because I want the other half for another meal this week. Picked out all the ones with spots or bruises, and I'm just gonna wipe them clean with a damp rag, cut the bruises off, and cook those. I want to save the nicer ones in the fridge for my next meal since they'll live a little bit longer. I like to wipe off the mushrooms with a damp rag to get off any little bits of dirt or compost from them, but that way it doesn't get waterlogged from straight up washing them. You can see the rag removes a lot of funk. I decided I didn't want all of half of the mushrooms in there, so I threw some back into the bin. This is plenty of mushrooms for my tastes. And so, just totally eyeballing this based off of how much mushroom I want in my dumplings. Now, I really wish these were shiitakes. I don't even like button mushrooms. I just want there to be mushrooms in this so badly that I'm putting buttons in there. Okay, now let's do up some ginger. Now, I'm not going to show all this process since I don't have a way to easily hold my camera for y'all, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off a little chunk, and then I'm going to peel it down really good. Ta-da! Tiny little ginger nub. And now I'm going to chop it up super duper fine. You would probably want to grate this if you had a ginger grater on hand. I do not, so I'm going to mince this sucker to tiny, tiny little bits. That's how tiny we're talking. See how small those little pieces are? Smaller than the head of a pin. There we go, there's the fresh ginger. You can see this little tiny sliver didn't get cut up, but the rest of them are nice and small. And I just eyeballed, this is about how much ginger I'd like to have in my dumplings. No measuring here. Here are my green onions. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to strip off all of the wilted leaves and discard them. So after stripping off some of the wilted leaves, some of them I notice are wilted at the top, so I'm just going to cut those off. Now I'm going to cut off the roots and the white portion of the green onion and cut the green onion itself into tiny little slivers. There we go. I could have chopped these up a little finer. I guess I'm getting hungry. I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of soy sauce to this and stir it on up. So there it is, all stirred up. I definitely think if I had a food processor and I could get it a lot finer, it would be a lot easier to eat in the dumpling form and just kind of taste more like what I'm used to. But I think this will still be pretty gosh darn delicious. Gosh darn delicious. It's hard for me not to eat it, but raw chicken, can't do that. So now I'm going to put this aside and start rolling out my dumpling dough. Alright, so I lost my natural light, so hopefully it won't be too ugly with my little overhead light here. So I have a jar to use as a rolling pin, and I floured it a little bit. It's so smooth the flour fell right off. And I have this jar lid, which I'm going to use to cut the dumpling shapes out in a minute, and that has also been floured on the edge. So first I'm going to take my dough, which I have rolled into these little balls. 4 little balls as suggested by the article I'm working off of. And I'm going to try to roll these as thin as possible. So let's see how this goes. You know, you want to make sure you have enough flour on everything that nothing sticks. So I usually start with a little flour on there, a little flour on there, and then every time things start to get a little tacky, you add more flour. You can flip your dough if you need to. I'm going to start rolling it out. Try to put it as close to the edge as I possibly can so that you're not wasting much dough. And then you put it down and you twist it and you wiggle it so that you can really get through there since the edge is sharp. And then once it's completely disconnected all the way around, almost all the way around, you have a perfect little dough circle. And I'm just stacking them here and they've got plenty of flour so they're not sticking together on a well-floured plate. After you've run out of room, you have these little scraps left over. You take them all and you ball them all up together, and you mix a tiny little bit of water into it to get it to the right consistency. And then you have yourself a new ball of dough, and you can roll it out again. And you can keep going with that as many times as you'd like until you get tired of it. This is the new piece I rolled out. It's not as thin because the dough is tougher now, but I think it'll be just as tasty. I think this is gonna be the last time I roll it out though. So to make the pot stickers, you want to put just a tiny bit of filling in the center, leaving enough room all the way around for the edges to make contact when you fold up the little dumpling. That's too much, too much, too much, too much. The next thing you want to do is you wet the edge of the dumpling all the way around. I'm using a spoon that I dipped in water for that. You could also use your finger, but it gets a little messy that way because you have to handle everything with your wet, floury, sticky finger, and that's just not cool. The next thing that you do is you want to fold up the dumpling like so. It's hard to do one-handed. And you want to pinch the top together until it's sealed really good. And I like to push down a little to make sure I got a good base so they sit up straight. And you do the sides like so. I'm going to try to make sure you don't have any air inside where the filling is. So I'm going to do these guys real quick. Good Lord, look how many dumplings I made. I'm only one person. How am I going to eat all these dumplings? I'll have to find a way. Alright, now it's time to cook them up. Alright, so since I am on shore power, which means that my RV is plugged into electricity, I'm going to be using my little single burner here instead of a propane burner. That way I can conserve my propane. I'm going to turn this on high just to get the pan hot and dry, and I'm going to add some oil. For me today, I'm going to go ahead and put a tablespoon or two of coconut oil and a little bit of sesame oil just to give it some really good flavor. And that's the coconut oil melting in the pot that's warming up, and you can see just a few drops of sesame oil to give it some flavor. Pan is hecka hot, starting to smoke a little, so I turn it down to medium, and I'm going to chuck my pot stickers in there. There they go. You want them in there until they're just starting to get brown on the underside. Article said about 4 minutes. Okay, that was way less than 4 minutes. Now it's time to add a little water and let them sizzle. Oh yeah. So you cover the pot. I turn mine down a low because it's already a little bit hot. And now wait about 10 to 15 minutes until the insides seem completely cooked. Alright, it's been 10 minutes and I just opened one and it was perfect. So, it's time to eat. They're absolutely scalding hot. It's going to be a minute before I can eat them. Let me introduce you to my favorite dumpling sauce. Maybe next time I'll try making a dumpling sauce, but this dumpling sauce, the mild, the hot, and the garlic version from this brand is like perfect. And I'm really just craving something that tastes like what I'm used to, so I'm gonna just stick with that. I bought these off Amazon. Can't find them anywhere around here. I'm probably about 2.5 hours away from the nearest Asian grocery. So yeah, ordered this off Amazon. No regrets. Garnish them with a little tiny bit of leftover green onion. I prefer to have my dipping sauce in a little container and, you know, dip in it, but I don't have any cute little bowls yet on the rig, so I'm just gonna chuck a little bit of sauce on there and then dip into my plate. Wow, look at that. They're actually not burnt. They look a little burnt, but they don't taste burnt at all. Oh my god. It's like heaven in my mouth. Look at that. Look at that perfectly well done chicken in there. Perfect. Alright guys, thank you for joining me. I'm gonna go sit down and stuff my face. Still have another batch of these guys to cook up too. I'm gonna try to eat them all, but I probably won't be able to because I'm a really little person. But I'm gonna try. Have a good night, everybody.